I'm recording. I'm not doing that all over again. Okay. But so the mRNA vaccine was really new. Okay. They've been working on this technology for about 20 years. Now, when COVID happened and they rushed this to market, you understand, it's called Operation Warp Speed under President Trump. So when you want to bring a new drug to market, it's got to go through a bunch of trials and tests, okay, over years. It takes years to bring a drug to market, okay, because the FDA has to approve it. That's the Food and Drug Administration, okay, and they cut corners on this, and we were okay with that. We're like, if you can come up with a vaccine that will help people, a lot of people were dying, okay, and so we said, go for it, and they did. Raise your hand if you could explain to the class how an mRNA vaccine works or shot works. You know how it works. You just don't want to raise your hand because I might make you explain it. If I don't make you explain it, how many of you guys know how it works? Okay. See, when they came out with this new shot, I asked my next door neighbor, who's a doctor. He's a pediatrician. Okay. I love Phil. He's a good friend of mine. I've lived next to him for 28 years. Okay. And I said, Phil, what's up with this mRNA shot? He said, okay, this is how it works. You get this injection into your arm. It creates what's called a spike protein. Okay. And that protein mimics the COVID virus. So your body starts to attack that fake virus. It's not real. They don't put COVID in your body like the flu. It creates what looks like the virus. So your body fights that fake virus, that spike protein, and then if you get exposed to COVID, supposedly your body is going to reject that. It's going to fight it, and you won't get COVID. Unfortunately, it didn't work like that. Okay? Now, when this came out, guys, I asked Dr. Phil, I'm like, Doc, what do you think? And he explained this to me. I said, that's pretty cool. Sounds harmless. So teachers were offered the shot early. Okay, first your doctors and nurses were able to get it, your elderly were able to get it, and then they said, teachers, it's your turn. So I said, okay. I trust Dr. Phil. I'm going to go get my shot. So I got Pfizer, shot 1. Pfizer, shot 2, 2 weeks later. We practiced that day. It's Saturday. And I got the second shot, which did practice. By the time practice was over, I got my truck to drive back across town. I could barely keep my eyes away. I mean, it freaking knocked me down. I mean, I was out for like 6 hours. After that, I was okay. Just a little sore in the arm, no big deal. I didn't have any other side effects. Okay. Some people have had side effects to these shots. Okay. We don't know the long-term impact of mRNA vaccines. I call them shots. Okay. We don't know the long-term effects. We do know there were a lot of injuries, what are called vaccine injuries. Okay. People that took this and had really bad reaction to it. Okay. So we didn't know all that, and we still don't know the long-term effects of mRNA. So doctors, nurses, firefighters, soldiers, all were fired from their jobs for refusing to take this vaccine that we didn't know the long-term effects of. People lost their livelihood in this. You know this. Did you know this? Thousands of nurses, and there's a shortage of nurses. Thousands of them across this country were fired from their jobs. Okay? Well, they're on the front lines. They're seeing people come in with vaccine injuries. That I just got my second COVID shot and something's wrong, I'm in the hospital because I got the shot. Nurses see that and they're like, I'm not putting that in my body. Okay? They got fired. Soldiers. So, when my wife and I had our 25th anniversary and we wanted to travel overseas, she had to get the vaccine. She didn't want it. She had COVID really early on. Like she was one of the first, probably 1% of Americans to have COVID. Okay? And she was sick for a few days and then she was okay. She quarantined and then As soon as we found out she got COVID, we put her in the basement. And then the kids and I took off to Colorado. Made sure she was okay. And then we're like, hey, we're just going to go ahead and leave because we don't want to get it. And when you're done with your quarantine, you can meet us out in Colorado. Okay. I got the Delta variant. It kicked my butt after getting the shot. Did they tell us for a while that if you get the shot, you won't get COVID? President of the United States, Joe Biden, told us that. If you get the shot, you won't get COVID. Is that true? Dr. Anthony Fauci, when this first broke out, told everybody, pull this up on YouTube, cloth masks don't work. This 6 feet of separation, you know, like when you're standing in line, 6 feet, they just totally made that up. I can remember your freshman year, I was like, when you're like sitting the kids hybrid and they had to be a certain distance. That's all BS, guys. I'm the only one talking in here right now. And my germs are going all over this room. They don't stop at 6 feet. You following me? Now, don't worry, I'm not sick. I'm healthy right now, okay? But if I was sick, I would probably try and stay up here, further away from you, which I did during COVID. I just stood up here. They told me to wear a mask. And I'm like, I can't lecture and wear a mask. And then I told my students, I said, listen, I'm pulling my mask down to lecture. And I said, if any of you guys got a problem with that, then you need to go tell administration. Somebody went and told administration, okay? Because people, do the mask work? I'm wearing a freaking gaiter. It's not going to protect you. You understand that, right? Now, an N95 mask is pretty good, and surgeons wear these when they're doing surgery. But N95 mask, guys, they wear for an hour, it goes in the trash, and they get a new one. They're not meant to be worn for days at a time. You understand that? Because then you're breathing in your own gunk. I got an idea. Kids were dying at a rate lower than the flu. So let's vaccinate our kids and put masks on that don't work and stunt their growth, their education. Let's shut down the schools. Now, if you're immune compromised, your body has immune issues, you got to watch out. If you're over 65, if you're overweight, okay, you got to watch out for COVID. Because those are the people that die. And in this country, I don't know if you guys know this, but at the very beginning, when hospitals were being overrun with COVID patients, what they did with some of the elderly COVID patients that went to the hospital, they ran out of room. So they put them in nursing homes with healthy elderly people. And guess what happened at those nursing homes? A bunch of people died. Okay? They did that in New York, and they did that in Michigan. They took old people with COVID, active COVID, and put them in old folks' homes. And then you couldn't even go see your elderly parent. Guys, we're finding out more and more the lies that we were told. Okay. Have you read 1984? Have you read Fahrenheit? Fiction is truth. Truth is fiction. Men can get pregnant. Men can menstruate. Didn't you know that? Because I say I'm a woman, I'm a woman. Fiction is truth, truth is fiction. When you change the language, they change the language on you. Okay? It means they're trying to control you. The way you think, the way you speak. Okay? This virus, COVID virus, they told us that it came from a wet market from bat to human. And anybody said, well, wait a second, what about that Wuhan lab of virology where they study viruses? Could it have escaped from there? No, that's a conspiracy theory. So if I'm giving this talk right here in 2020, and I say, no, the virus came from a lab, it leaked out. They were doing gain of function research, changing the virus, manipulating the virus to see if they could make it spread easier. Did COVID spread easier than the common cold? Highly contagious. Highly contagious, COVID. Okay? They did that on purpose in the experiment. They were trying to figure that out. And they figured it out, and then it escaped the lab. The FBI now says that with most certainty, that virus came from the Chinese lab, not from a bat to human transmission. But you were called a kook, conspiracy theorist, taken down off of YouTube. We'll see what happens today. Okay? You were silenced. Okay? Who was funding that research at the Wuhan lab in China? You and I were with our tax dollars through the National Institutes of Health. Why were they doing it in Wuhan, China? Because we made it illegal to do that kind of research in the United States because it's freaking dangerous to manipulate viruses like this. It's called biological warfare. If you can create a virus that will kill a certain group of people, isn't it weird how this thing didn't affect children? Very few children died. People under the age of 25, very few died. Who did it affect? The elderly. What a great way to cut costs in a society. Now that's conspiratorial. Okay. But listen, we were lied to. Okay. So that makes me mad. Now, if you want to go to Mexico City, get on a plane and fly to Mexico City. The United States of America said you have to be vaccinated. You have to get boosted to fly out overseas. Okay. However, at the same time, we're letting across tens of thousands of people across our southern border, the vast majority of which are unvaccinated. So you as a U.S. citizen, you got to take this shot. You're not a U.S. citizen, come on in. You don't have to take the shot. Fiction is truth. Truth is fiction. Let's follow on that. This is dystopian. Okay? In some countries like Australia, New Zealand, just straight up dictatorship for a while. Canada, it's horrible what they did to their people. Okay? We had people like Governor DeSantis in Florida said, listen, we're not gonna keep doing this. We're opening up. We're not shutting down anymore. We're opening up. People that challenged it, okay? And thank God for it. Now, I blame Trump for this quite a bit because he trusted Dr. Fauci. He trusted those people around him, okay? Which you should be able to do. But they were lying to us. And they knew it. I think Dr. Anthony Fauci should be in prison. Okay? He said, wear the mask. Double mask. When he said previously, they don't work. And they don't work. If you want to wear a mask and protect yourself, get an N95 and get a bunch of them because you need to take them off every hour and get a new one. You shouldn't wear those for more than an hour. Okay? And I understand there are people that are immune compromised and have comorbidities, and we need to try and protect those people. But we're not going to destroy our economy, destroy the education of our youth to protect a few people. Okay, I went way too long on that. Did you learn anything? Do you think Mr. Ebright's some kind of crazy? Everything I told you is truth, except for the one thing about maybe they designed it to kill old people but not young people. That's a conspiracy theory. Okay. Listen, if you're old and you're not healthy and you get sick, there's a chance you're going to die no matter what kind of virus it is. Yes? Okay. All right. The last one, just an ideological question. The U.S. government is doing too much to help the American people. Or is it not doing enough to help the American? You want the government to do more for you to solve your problems or solve other people's problems. If you want them to do more, say no. Think they're doing too much, say yes. Okay. All right. Does anybody need a quick review on any of these? Like you don't have it filled out all the way. I know we had some marchers, but anyone like I don't have marked, can you do a quick take on it? Anybody need one? Yeah.
Privatized Social Security and
School vouchers. Okay. Okay. So privatized Social Security is where, I don't know if you remember, you put in 6.2% of your income with your paycheck every month for Social Security. So if you have a job, 6.2 your whole life. Okay. Right now, that 6.2% that I pay in goes directly to grandma. Okay. It doesn't grow. I don't have an account that grows. It just goes. It takes 5 of me to pay for one person on retirement right now. Okay. The idea is to allow people to start taking part of that 6.2%, you raise taxes a little bit, and put that in your own private account. If you started that at 18, then you can invest that. Interest growth. You know what I mean? Like in the stock market, it grows over time, over 40 years, 45 years, it grows. So you transition from me giving to grandma to me creating my own private Social Security account. You cannot spend that money. It has to go into that account. So basically, it's the government saying you have to save 7% of your income every paycheck. It's got to go towards savings. And then when you retire, if you invest that money, you'll have more than enough money to live off of. That's the idea, okay? Instead of the system that we have now. Vouchers are, let's say you have a kid, schools that are failing, and it costs $14,000 to educate one kid at Northwest for 1 year, okay? And if Northwest is doing a terrible job educating those kids, the state of Kansas is going to say, listen, we're going to give everybody a $14,000 voucher, everybody in the state. It's going to cost a lot of money, and they get to choose which school they go to, public or private. So if you don't like being at South High, you can go to Andover, you can go to Goddard, you can come to Bishop Carroll. So that's kind of like school choice. You leave it up to the parents. Now, buses will be a problem. Teachers don't like this because some schools will lose students and teachers will lose their job, but other schools will gain students and they'll be looking for new teachers. So it could be a wash there. Teachers unions hate this. People that are in bad schools tend to like it. Okay. All right. This is what I need you to do. Add up your yeses and nos. Yes, Caleb. Okay, so hate crime, we talked about hate speech where there would be punishment for saying hateful things to other people. Okay. Hate crime would be like you commit a crime because you hate that person because of their religion, their race, their sexual orientation, their gender. Okay. The example I use, like Northwest students were playing Northwest High School football. They come over and spray paint on the school. Bishop Carroll stinks. Okay. That's vandalism, right? Trespassing. But then you change it to say Catholics suck. Okay. So that means they're targeting you because of your religion. Now, the federal government has hate crime laws. So this would take a Northwest High School student and say, listen, we're going to charge you with a federal crime, civil rights violation. Now, where you see this also is in like racial conflict between whites and blacks and so forth, like or Asian hate, you know, like people targeting Asians, these sorts of things. The fact is, a lot of people that do these crimes, are ignorant. So a lot of people don't even know these laws exist. So is it a deterrent? Does it help prevent this type of crime? Should the government try and figure out what's going through somebody's head when they're figuring out a crime, why they committed it, and so forth? So it's debatable whether we should have these laws or not. All right, listen to my words. You don't have to play. I would like to have a general idea of how my students think as I go through the semester. Okay? So, please participate. You don't have to. Now, here's the thing. You're going to have different people here with different opinions, yes? Nobody in this room is allowed to criticize somebody for what they've come up with. Okay? I'm the only one that can criticize. Okay? We're going to be nice to each other and respect other people's opinions. Is that okay? Is that okay? Because this will help me understand you and how you think. Okay? All right. So, how many people had 16 or more yeses? I'm going to do a count. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Don't raise your hand if you already have 14 or more yeses. 1, 2, 3. Any 10, 11, 12, 13 of each? There you are. There you are. Okay. You're not alone. Okay. And any more, come on, dude. Any 14 or more no's? 16 or more no's? Okay. I'll get some in my honors class. Don't worry. Now, all right. If you had 16 or more yeses, you would pretty much call yourself conservative. Okay. Now, let's ratchet that up a little bit. Let's just see how conservative we are. Okay, so 16 or more yeses, let's go to 18 or more yeses. Raise your hand. Okay, look around the room, everybody. See who's got their hands up. Okay, that's 18 or more yeses. 20. All right, these are the people you got to be worried about. 21. All right, these are your right wingers. Okay, these are reactionaries. 22. All right, I'm going to stop there. You guys are nut jobs. Okay, right wingers. Okay, if you're looking at 20 or more, you're pretty far to the right. You're on the right wing. Okay, it's okay. You're with about 20% of the U.S. population. Why so many in this class? Well, here's the reason why. We live in Wichita, Kansas, and we're in a Catholic school. Okay, we're in a religious institution. So in a minute, I'm going to break down different types of issues. You have social issues, then you have fiscal issues or pocketbook issues, okay? And how you feel about those will determine a lot, okay? Now, those that were 14 or more yeses, you're going to fall more into the mainstream of America, and you would lean towards the Republican Party. Okay? Which there's, in the total population, guys, there's more of these people than there are these people. Does that make sense? Okay? And there's more of these people than there are these people in the general population. Okay? Moderates. What I like to refer as to on the fence, in the middle, wishy-washy. Get off the fence. Make a decision. I'm kidding. Okay. Now, these are moderates. Let me explain something. Yesterday in New Hampshire, they have the New Hampshire primary. Okay? This is where it's at right now. They're still voting. They're still counting votes. Trump 54.7, Nikki Haley 43.1. Nikki Haley did pretty good. Okay? But in New Hampshire, guys, if you look at the voters, about 20% of the voters in New Hampshire are registered Republicans. About 20% are registered Democrats. 60% are registered unaffiliated. Not independent, just unaffiliated. I don't affiliate with either of the parties. Okay? Last night's election, the unaffiliated voters could vote in the Democrat or Republican primary. They got to choose which primary they voted in. 75% of Nikki Haley's votes came from unaffiliated voters. Okay? Only like 7% of Trump's came from unaffiliated voters. You following this? Okay? So moderates can go either way. I mean, Republicans can vote Democrat, Democrats can vote, but not in these primary elections. Okay? Now, here you have your mainstream Democrats. Now, guys, there are more of these registered Democrats than there are registered Republicans in the United States. Okay? You get down here, you get liberal. You get to 18 or more no's, progressive. Socialist. You get to 22 more no's, communist. Okay. Now, this school leans to the right. Okay. Now let me show you this on a wing. As we say, left wing, right wing. Okay. Now, you people with 20 or more yeses, you are seen as what's called reactionary. So if there's a new idea or a change in society, you are quick to react. No. That's not normal. Reactionaries like normal. They react to change quickly. They don't like it. Follow me? Now, here's your wing. There's the middle. There's the fence where our two moderates sit, right there in the middle on the fence. Okay? To the right, you get Republicans. To the left, you get Democrats. Most Americans are in here. Okay? Now you get out here, further left, you get liberal. Okay? Further right, you get conservatives. Further right, there's your reactionary. Okay? Further left, progressive, socialist. All the way left, communist. All the way right, fascist. Okay? Now, just because you're reactionary doesn't mean you're a fascist. And so this is simple, right? And the fact is, most Americans fall in here. Because we're the United States of America, I think it's generally fair to say that we are a center-right nation as a whole, just the way we think. Okay, like the vast majority, not the vast, but the majority of Americans believe in the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. The majority does. Okay, you ask that question in Europe, you're not going to get that. The majority is going to say, no, people shouldn't have guns. So we're a center-right nation as a whole. Okay? It kind of ebbs and flows. Okay, this is a better way to look at it. So, in the middle at the top, there they are on the fence, moderates. Okay, then you go to the right, get Republicans, conservatives. So Republican Party spans from here to here. Democratic Party spans from here to here. Okay, and then the more further right you understand. But when you get to the bottom middle, communists and fascists share a lot more in common than they don't. So it doesn't make sense for them to be on opposite wings. Does that make sense? it really makes sense here because they're both radical. They're both willing to violate the law or the Constitution to get what they want. So when we talk about Stalin and Hitler, right? One a fascist, one a communist, and they hated each other, yes. Okay? But when you look at how their governments run, they're very similar. Now, communists don't allow private property, but fascists allow ownership of private property, but they control it. The government controls industry. Okay? Same thing in communism. Government controls industry. Okay? You lose your freedoms under both of these. Both of these, you lose your right to bear arms to defend yourself. Okay? So they share a lot in common. So this is actually a better way to look at it, if that makes sense. Okay? Now, I'm going to do one more way to help you understand this a little bit better, especially our moderates. There's three. I'm going to break down all these 25 issues into three things. Okay? Three types of issues. Okay? Bedroom issues, pocketbook issues, and war and peace issues. Okay? And I'm going to introduce you to the Libertarian Party while doing this. You all heard of Libertarian? Okay. Lily Wu, our new mayor, she ran as a Libertarian. I didn't know that until I got in the booth to vote. I mean, her signs are everywhere. It doesn't say Libertarian on it anywhere. It just said Lily Wu for mayor. So I got in to vote, and I'm like, oh, she ran as a Libertarian. Okay? And I voted for her. So now I can say I voted for a Libertarian. I've never voted for a Libertarian before. Okay? Let's find out what that means. Okay? All right. So Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians. All right. Number one, bedroom issues. Democrats don't care what you do in your bedroom. If you want to have gay sex in your bedroom, it's none of our business. You know, there used to be laws against that. Sodomy laws. Like you could go to jail for having gay sex. All over the country. Okay? There were laws against it. Okay? So we don't care what you do in your bedroom. We don't care what you do with your body. You want to have an abortion? Your body, your choice. Okay? They don't get involved in your bedroom. Now, Republicans, they tend to want to promote certain values. Now, I can tell you this, guys, you cannot legislate morality. You can't pass a law that's going to make people behave the way you want them to. People just don't do that. Can't pass a law. But what you can do is pass laws that promote certain values. Example, if you get married, you pay less in taxes, promoting the idea of marriage. If you have a child, you get a tax break. So if you get married and have children, you pay less in taxes. That is the government promoting the value of family and marriage. Yes? It's not saying you have to get married, because you can't legislate that. It's not saying you have to have kids. You can't legislate that. So Republicans like to promote these ideas. Okay? And pass laws restricting abortion. This is something Republicans are doing. Okay? Libertarians? Oh, hell no. This is my body. I can put what I want in my body. So a lot of times libertarians are very much pro legalization of drugs. If I want to freaking snort cocaine, it's none of your freaking business. My life. You don't get to tell me how to live my life. That's how libertarians feel. Okay. You don't get to tell me how I live my life. As long as I don't harm another person. Now, if I'm drunk, because I like to drink and I drive, well, you're putting other people in danger. If you're staying home and getting drunk, or snorting cocaine, whatever, it's none of your business. If I want to kill what's in my body, it's none of your business either. Most libertarians are pro-choice. There are some pro-life libertarians. Just based on that ideology, you don't get to tell me what I do with my body. Okay? Now, let's talk about the pocketbook. Your money. Democrats want it. They want your money, and they want to do good things with it. Now, whether those good things actually help society or not, that's up for debate. Okay? But that's what their goal is to take from those that have and help those that don't have. To do good things. These are do-gooders. Okay? Republicans want you to keep your money. You know how to spend your money better than the government does. So cut taxes. You know what else we're going to do with the tax code? We're going to say if you give money to charity, you can write that off on your taxes. So keep more of your money and give it to charity. Help people. Yourself. Don't use the government to help people. Following? Everybody following? Libertarians? Oh, heck no. Small government. This is what the government should do in the eye of the libertarians. We're going to have a military force for defensive purposes only. Okay? We are going to have the government make roads. We don't even need them to deliver mail anymore. We got other people that can deliver mail. Okay? We're going to have the government to have police to keep society secure, firefighters to keep people safe, roads. Yeah, that's about it. That's all we need government to do. We can handle the rest ourselves. Get off my back. Okay? Leave me alone. Stay out of my pocketbook. Stay out of my bedroom. Okay? And stay out of the Middle East. These are doves. Okay? So when you talk about war and peace issues, you've got hawks and you got doves. Do I follow that? Okay? Now, this one's hard when you get to Republicans and Democrats. Okay, let me just start. The last 100 years, a little more than 100 years. World War I, President Wilson, Democrat or Republican? Democrat. World War I. World War II, Roosevelt, Democrat or Republican? Democrat. Korean War, Democrat or Republican president? Truman, Democrat. Vietnam War, President Johnson, Republican, Democrat. Democrat. 1990, Gulf War, Republican or Democrat? Republican. 2001, Afghanistan, Republican or Democrat? Republican. 2003, Iraq, Republican. It's hard. Now, if you ask me, Solanke, if Hillary Clinton is a hawk or a dove, she's a hawk. President Trump, hawk or dove? Trump's a dove. You listen to him talk about these unnecessary wars. He talks about it all the time, how we get into these wars that we shouldn't be getting in. He's trying to stay out of them. When Trump was running for office, he said things that might make you think he's going to start World War III. And then you're like, Trump's going to start World War III. They said the same thing about Reagan. Reagan's going to start World War III. But neither one of them got us into a war. Are we closer to World War III under Biden or Trump? Huh? Dude, you got the Ukraine war going on under Biden. You got the Israeli conflict going on over there. And you got China being very provocative in the Far East. Are we closer to World War III now than we were when Trump was in office? No question we are closer. If Ukraine attacks Poland, we're going to war. It is World War III. I mean, if Russia attacks Poland, it is World War III. NATO is going to war with Russia. And who's going to be on Russia's side? China. You got World War III. Not far from it. Now, hopefully it doesn't happen. Okay? Is Biden a dove? No, he's more of a hawk. Okay? Bush was a hawk. George W. Bush, he was a hawk. Okay? Trump is a dove. Now, he sounds like a freaking hawk. Okay? But he's a dove. Vivek Ramaswamy, that guy's like red meat, dude. You think this guy's going to start World War III? No, he's a dove. He doesn't want to get involved in anybody's business. Remember that thing called isolationism from history? Okay? So you got a lot of people, libertarians, that want isolationism. You got some Republicans that want isolationism. You've got some Democrats that want isolation. The mainstream is more hawkish. Your conservatives tend to be kind of dovish, and your liberals tend to be pretty dovish. It's interesting. Okay? So it's the middle. And that's, see, Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. Nikki Haley's a hawk. She's a hawk. Okay? Biden, I would call him a hawk at this point. Okay? You had to write in Biden's name. He wasn't on the ballot in New Hampshire. You had to write his name in. Okay? And he's at 68%. So some Democrats showed up to vote and just wrote his name in. So, Phillips is a congressman. Marianne Williamson, she's kind of an interesting woman. Okay. You should look her up. Okay. So you guys got a pretty good idea. Okay. How many of you think you came out different than your parents? Usually kids will follow their parents, but obviously not always. You know what I mean? It doesn't always happen that way. Okay. So as we move forward in this class, was everybody here when you got your books? When we got the books? Was anybody? None? Everybody got a book? Okay. You guys make your way down to the library sometime today. Mrs. Foltz, you say, Mrs. Foltz, I'm in first hour Mr. Ebright's class, and I need a government book. Okay? And she'll get you one. Okay? Let's try and bring those books tomorrow and bring something to take notes with tomorrow. Okay? The party's over. I hope you guys learned a lot from that. Like, you have an idea where you fall and why. Okay? Let me just tell you this, guys. If you register to vote in Kansas, you have to register as a Republican to vote in the primary. You have to register as a Democrat to vote in that primary. If you register as an independent in Kansas, you do not get to help choose the candidate for one of the two parties. Now, when the general election happens in November, you can vote for whoever you want, whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. You can vote for whoever you want. You follow me? But if you want to be part of the party that chooses that candidate, so if you're a moderate, do you feel yourself pulling to one side or the other? Like, would you register as a Republican or Democrat? Is that kind? Because now this decision will probably be over by March. Like, we may not even have a primary in Kansas, but Nikki Haley said last night she's in it for the long haul. She actually gave a pretty good speech last night. I watched it, and she did it really early when like only 20% of the vote was counted, and she was only down by like 6 points. I think it's going to end up being about 12. Okay. But she was only down by like 6%, 7%. So she gave this speech like she won, even though she was losing, which is an interesting idea. And I thought it was effective. And then Trump spoke about an hour later, and he's like, I don't know if you guys listened to that speech, but she was acting like she won this primary. Okay. She attacked Trump a little bit, didn't go full guns at him, and Trump attacked her a little bit, didn't go full guns. A lot of pundits are saying Nikki Haley's going to stay in this thing because she wants to be the VP. She wants to be the vice president. And I truly think Trump should consider her because, first of all, she's a woman. She's a woman of color. She's Indian. Okay. She is also very qualified. Okay. And like I said, 75% of her votes came from independents. Trump's going to need those votes to beat Biden. You follow me? So you got to do some smart stuff. Trump really has to do some healing within the Republican Party, because there's about 25% of Republicans that are saying, I will not vote for Donald Trump. And I know some of these people, okay? They just don't like him. He's got to calm his message down a little bit. He's got his base. Trumpers, MAGA people are going to vote for Trump, no matter what he says. So he needs to start reaching out to people like you in the middle. Those 5 people that were not conservatives. He's got to start reaching out to those people, okay? And say things that you like to hear. Does that make sense? Okay, Biden's got to do the same thing. Biden just, I don't know what he says. Look, he has some accomplishments, and that's what he just got to focus on those. And then obviously his opponents are going to go after his weaknesses. Okay, so, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. There's not another primary until Nevada and then South Carolina. Nikki Haley, like I said, is from South Carolina. So if she doesn't win there, the writing might be on the wall. All right, see you guys tomorrow.